Still got it at 50 years old. Age can be felt most places when you're talking about athletics, but the track, apparently not one of them. Mark Martin, a fitness fanatic in incredible shape, the day after driving 400 grueling miles. Is he not sore? I have to know the answer to that question. He's not a sore loser. I will tell you that much because Chicagoland was his this weekend. Chicago, usually all Pete Pistone, he's our NASCAR rider, stayed close to home this weekend. Don't tell me you didn't miss flying, Pete.
I won't lie to you.
Let's get down to business, Pete. Mark Martin continuing his amazing season with a series-leading 4th win of the year at Chicagoland. Is there any reason to believe he can't go the whole way?
Well, there's no reason to believe it, but again, Lauren, don't tell that to Mark Martin because he doesn't want to talk about a championship. And we brought it up again on Saturday night, and he kind of got a steely look in his eye, and he looked out at us in the media, and he said, I don't want to talk about winning a title right now. You know, in all honesty, he has 4 wins, but he's still 11th in the point standing. So, you know, his spot in the chase is certainly not solidified, but I think he'll be fine. And I think once we get to the chase, those 10 races, when I look at the racetracks that make up the 10 races for this year's chase for the Sprint Cup Championship, I think those are all tracks that Mark Martin usually does pretty well at, with maybe the exception of Talladega. So certainly if he can get there, I think there's no reason to believe that he can't have a run at that first win.
It's still a while away. He's keeping focus. Let's talk about the double file restart rule, again proving to make things very exciting, Pete. There's still some grumbling, though, going on by the drivers. What's going on with that?
Well, the drivers, Lauren, you know, you have to know that these drivers don't like anything where they actually have to drive the race car a little bit harder. You know, they want everything handed to them, and, you know, that's pretty much in any sport. They want it to be as easy as possible. I think NASCAR put this in play to make it more exciting. And when we go back to green flag racing after caution flags, they are side by side. These drivers have to work a lot harder to get their spots back. They're starting to come around, but some guys, as you said, are grumbling about it. Jeff Burton was pretty outspoken after Saturday night's race. He got caught up in one of the accidents on Saturday night that, you know, he thought maybe wouldn't have happened if we weren't doing the double file restarts, and that was actually the 4th week in a row that Burton got caught up in one of those type of deals. But this is something that I think every driver understands was put into play to make the sport better for the fans. So in the long run, they know it's for the best for the sport, but still a lot of them not liking it so much, at least here in the early going.
I think we can all agree, Pete, it is more exciting, and it was 2 completely different stories for the Daytona combatants, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Saturday night in Chicago. What'd you see out there, Pete?
Well, it's certainly a completely different day and night for both of those guys. Tony Stewart had a terrible qualifying run on Thursday night and had to start 32nd. And, you know, Chicagoland's been a track, Lauren, where if you start way back in the pack, it's kind of tough to move to the front. Well, he did that, and he wound up finishing 4th with a top 5 finish, and so very pleased about that. That solidified his spot on top of the Sprint Cup Series point standing. Kyle Busch, not so good. Started off great, qualified 6th, trying to back up his win there a year ago, but from the drop of the green flag, that 18 car was just awful. Handling problems all night long. Finally, the engine let go. He hit the wall and wound up finishing 33rd, and that was one of his worst runs of the year. So he's certainly looking forward to this off weekend before we go to the Brickyard in Indianapolis, because I know Kyle Busch got out of that car, didn't say much as he usually doesn't when things don't go his way, and was pretty disappointed about the way his night ended in Chicago.
We know how that goes, Pete. The feud follow-up. 7 races to go to make the chase, an off weekend coming up, like you said. Who's nervous heading into vacation?
I think anybody, really and truly, maybe 8th place back is probably a little bit nervous. And Casey Kane had a 3rd place run. He moved up to 8th. But as I said, Mark Martin with 4 wins, he's still there at 11 spots, certainly not out of the danger zone. And some of the guys outside the top 12 have been kind of going in and out of the top 12. I think about David Rudiman. Clint Boyer has made some strides. This is what NASCAR put this in play for, Lauren, to make it exciting. We have an off weekend. I think none of these guys are going to be able to take any time off without thinking about their spot in the point championship chase. And when we pick it up again at the Brickyard on July 26th, I think we're going to see one of the better championship chases we've had for the next 7 weeks before we decide this all in Richmond in September.
That's good news. It's going to be exciting. One last question. Can you sing better than Kurt Busch?
I think my 6-year-old daughter could sing better than Kurt Busch. He gave it the old try at Wrigley the other day, but maybe should keep his day job.
There you go. For everything NASCAR and Pete Pistone singing, keep it locked right here on CBSSports.com. Right, Pete?
Take me out to the ball game, Lauren.
All right. I'm Lauren Shehadi. We'll see you real soon.